Most people fight visible fat while ignoring a hidden internal threat. Subcutaneous fat sits under skin, appearing soft, mostly harmless, and cosmetic. Visceral fat hides deep, wrapping organs, silently, disrupting health from inside. This shifts the problem from appearance towards survival biology and danger. Visceral fat behaves like an active adversary rather than passive storage. Visceral fat is biologically active, functioning like an endocrine organ inside bodies. It releases inflammatory cytokines, disrupting hormones, blood vessels, metabolism, continuously over time. This activity damages cardiovascular health, insulin signaling, and systemic inflammatory balance significantly. Visceral fat communicates chemically, influencing organs, rather than storing unused energy passively. The danger comes from what it does, not how it looks externally. Visceral fat accumulation is not caused by calories, laziness, or weak discipline. The primary driver behind visceral fat storage is chronic cortisol elevation. Cortisol is a survival hormone designed to protect during perceived danger. It activates the HPA axis, coordinating stress responses throughout the body. Understanding cortisol reframes visceral fat as protection, not punishment or failure. Cortisol evolved to handle immediate physical threats, demanding rapid survival responses. During danger, it shuts down digestion, reproduction, and long-term tissue building. Blood glucose floods circulation, preparing muscles for escape or combat instantly. Fat stored near organs provides fast energy access for the liver. Visceral fat, therefore, served as evolutionary insurance against sudden starvation threats. Human biology remains ancient, while modern environments changed rapidly around us. Threats shifted from predators toward deadlines, finances, screens, and constant notifications. Stress became chronic rather than brief resolving episodes, requiring recovery. Cortisol stays elevated because threats never fully disappear today. The body remains locked in emergency mode without relief. Chronic cortisol releases glucose continuously into the bloodstream throughout stressful days. Without physical discharge, insulin rises to manage circulating glucose repeatedly daily. Insulin, combined with cortisol, forces fat storage deep around organs internally. Energy cycles back into visceral fat, creating a self-reinforcing loop. This hormonal loop locks survival storage despite efforts to diet harder. Chronic cortisol steals pregnenolone from sex hormone production pathways inside body. Testosterone and estrogen decline, while muscle tissue breaks down gradually systemically. This creates skinny fat bodies with thin limbs and hardened abdomens. Body composition rearranges for survival priorities rather than long-term health. The appearance confuses people, while biology follows emergency survival logic internally. Chronic stress activates neuropeptide Y, increasing appetite and carbohydrate cravings significantly. This response evolved to encourage energy intake during prolonged survival threats. The brain signals hunger, not from weakness, but from perceived danger. Comfort foods temporarily lower stress hormones, providing short-lived relief sensations. Willpower fails because biology prioritizes survival over modern dietary goals. Repeated stress, therefore, reinforces craving cycles independent of conscious intention. Understanding this removes shame and reframes eating behavior as stress signaling. Reducing stress lowers cravings more effectively than restriction alone long-term. Starvation and excessive cardio increase stress, worsening visceral fat retention significantly. The strategy shifts towards signaling safety rather than forcing calorie deficits. The nervous system releases fat only when threats feel resolved internally. More stress tightens survival storage mechanisms instead of promoting fat loss. Safety signals allow hormonal balance to shift away from emergency mode. Walking becomes primary fat-burning movement because it lowers cortisol levels. Gentle rhythmic motion provides optic flow. calming the amygdala, signaling safety. Forward movement tells the brain danger has passed and resources release. This movement burns fat while restoring nervous system balance naturally again. Heavy resistance training sends powerful anabolic signals, protecting muscle during stress. It stimulates testosterone and growth hormone, improving insulin sensitivity significantly overall. These signals counter cortisol catabolism, preserving lean tissue and metabolic rate. Short, intense lifting reassures the body strength exists despite ongoing stress. Cortisol follows circadian rhythms that modern eating habits often disrupt severely. Skipping breakfast or eating late confuses stress hormones and glucose control. A high-protein breakfast stabilizes cortisol and insulin early daily rhythms. Carbohydrates shifted toward evening support serotonin production and calmer night's sleep. Evening carbohydrates help melatonin release, lowering nighttime cortisol naturally levels down. This timing aligns nutrition with biology rather than constant stress signals. Better sleep follows reinforcing hormonal recovery and visceral fat release processes. When timing improves, the body exits emergency mode more easily, consistently. Sleep deprivation reduces insulin sensitivity, increasing cortisol and visceral fat storage. Poor sleep acts as a biological stressor, maintaining emergency hormonal signals. Tired but wired nights indicate cortisol remains elevated during recovery period. Inadequate sleep prevents nervous system from entering true rest states fully. Without deep sleep, fat-burning hormones cannot function properly overnight, consistently. Quality sleep lowers cortisol, allowing insulin sensitivity to recover naturally again. Better sleep signals safety, enabling visceral fat release over time gradually. Sleep hygiene, therefore, becomes an active strategy for metabolic repair process. Chronic stress depletes minerals, especially magnesium, critical for nervous system stability. Low magnesium increases cortisol sensitivity, amplifying stress responses and fat retention. Adaptogens can support resilience, but cannot replace foundational lifestyle safety signals. Reducing biological noise helps fat-burning signals become clearer, stronger overall. Micronutrient repletion complements sleep, movement, nutrition to restore metabolic balance gradually. Controlled cold exposure trains stress recovery and lowers baseline cortisol gently. Brief controlled cold acts as hormetic stress, improving resilience without overload. Unlike constant stress, this exposure ends quickly, allowing nervous system recovery. Cold exposure activates brown fat, increasing heat production and energy expenditure. This process improves insulin sensitivity and metabolic flexibility over time, gradually. Importantly, the stress is brief, controlled, and followed by safety signals. The nervous system learns danger passes, and recovery reliably follows afterwards. Over time, baseline cortisol drops, allowing visceral fat to release naturally. The brain cannot distinguish physical danger from psychological threat signals effectively. Constant perceived emergencies maintain cortisol elevation, even without real danger present. Breathing practices directly influence vagus nerve activity and stress hormones regulation. Slow nasal breathing activates parasympathetic states, supporting rest and digestion processes. This state tells the body the threat has ended safely now. Only in safety mode does visceral fat release become possible again. Stress reduction, therefore, becomes prerequisite for hormonal balance and fat loss. Without calming the brain, visceral fat remains locked despite effort applied. The fat loss becomes biological negotiation rather than disciplined punishment or force. Visceral fat exists to protect survival, not sabotage health goals. The modern task is signaling safety consistently to the nervous system. Sleepwalking, lifting nutrition, and stress regulation work together synergistically. When alarms turn off, visceral fat finally begins releasing naturally again.